Welcome back, everyone, to the Reading by Candlelight Book Club at Molly's Cottage. I'm here with Anna Maynard, author of Dancing with Bees, which features in the April Romance Book Box. Welcome, Anna. It's so lovely to have you here with us.
Having me.
Now, before we begin, here's a little bit about Anna. She lives in Tasmania with her husband and children, and until she wrote her debut novel, her writing experience had largely been restricted to referral letters and discharge summaries through her years of medical training. After finishing her specialist exam, she turned her hand to romance, and her delightful debut rom-com was published on the 1st of this month. When she's not dreaming up fictional heroines and swoony love interests, Anna can be found working in the emergency department, pottering in her garden, or playing songs with her pop band. So it's not enough that you're a doctor and a published author, you're also a musician. What can't you do, Anna?
Well, there's plenty. But yes,
Are,
I have lots of input.
are you are you the singer in the band?
I am. Yeah.
Oh,
I
amazing.
sing and play. Yeah.
Play piano. That's amazing. And can people see you anywhere in Hobart?
They can. So we perform under my stage name Nuria, so Nuria. So yes, we play around in Hobart. We've got music on Spotify. So yeah, you can look us up.
Wonderful. I'll follow you on Spotify. That's fabulous. You are the first singer I've had ever that I've interviewed. So, as well as being a published author, amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would give anything to sing. My daughter can sing. She's amazing. I wish I could do it, but I cannot. Now, we'll get back to the book because do you think, Anna, that you could give us a quick spoiler-free pitch of your novel?
Absolutely. So, Dancing with Bees is a romance novel, if you want to put it into a genre. But essentially, it is a story about a girl, Sunny Moritz, and she's 33 and she's feeling generally pretty lost in her life. Her life is very chaotic. And Dancing with Bees is the story of her finding herself and finding meaning in her life and finding love.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm just fascinated that the story revolves around beekeeping. Like, what inspired Dancing with Bees? Because are you a doctor by day and a beekeeper at night?
Well, I'm not, but my husband is, and and it was just the timing of it was such that when I started writing this book, he'd just started beekeeping, and it wasn't it wasn't that made me start, but it happened very, very soon after I'd begun. And so he would be telling me these stories and facts about bees, and I just found myself getting really intrigued and fascinated. And I just thought, oh gosh, um, that's going to be in the book. So yeah, it became a major part of the story.
And what was it about bees that said romantic comedy to you?
I think I guess there was just something about what I was learning vicariously about beekeeping that seemed so fun and joyful and odd and fascinating. And I guess for my character, Sunny, she was really at a point in her life where she needs to find something that really, really excites her. And I think it just seemed like a really obvious thing that would take her fancy, that would be enough to ignite a sense of curiosity and hunger for learning and hunger for a new hobby. And it was also kind of quirky enough that it seemed really appropriate for her character.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I've quite a few people who have read the book that I've spoken to have all said that they learned so much about beekeeping that they're actually interested in it now as a hobby.
Love that. You see? You see?
It's just like it was the way that you explained it that they just went, wow, this sounds fabulous. I really should be doing this. And then, of course, a tie-in at the moment with the show from the Duchess of Sussex, the with Megan, and she has the bees and everything like that at the moment. I mean, it's all come out at the right time for you, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Your
very
title,
topical.
yes, very topical. Now, your title is evocatively beautiful. I just feel like it really sums up the book. How did that come about? Was that your title from the very beginning?
It wasn't. It came later. So usually when I start writing something, I just kind of click save on the document and don't think very much about it, as I'm just kind of making this into a story. And then later the title needs a bit more work and thought. So it did have a bit of brainstorming involved. And by the time the title came, I knew the story very well, obviously. And I guess I just wanted to create a title that spoke enough of the book, whilst being enigmatic enough to capture people's curiosity. And there's lots of aspects of dancing in this book and lots of aspects of bees in this book. But there's also what really ties this together, and in a way that people probably don't realize until they read the book, is that bees dance, and they have this communication style of dancing rather than speech. And there's a scene between Sunny and her love interest around learning these dances that is one of my favorite scenes in the book and is quite romantic, and it's sort of one of their first kind of connection points. And so it just, when I came up with that title of Dancing with Bees, it just felt like, yes, that's totally the right title for this book.
Well, it is. It's so beautiful. And Sunny's with are you a hip hop dancer? I mean, why is she a hip hop dancer? I love that.
Well, she's just really cool. And so, yeah, I kind of felt like she needed to be a particular kind of dancer. And um, I don't know why particularly. I just knew, yeah, she's a hip hop dancer.
Love that. Now, your book cover is absolutely gorgeous. Did you have any input into the design?
Only in the sense that I was given a lot of option and choice in the designs, which I was really grateful for, with my publisher 𝐀𝐻𝐫𝐤𝐥. So the design is by 𝘞𝘪𝘵𝑗𝐻, who I wholeheartedly agree has just done a superb job on this. It had a lot of uh, reiterations and versions, and there was a little bit of a process getting there. But when we did land on this, it was sort of really unanimous amongst all of us that we were like, yes, this is the one.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. It's so eye-catching when you walk into a bookshop. You can't not see it.
Yeah, she's done a beautiful job.
Now, how did it feel to hold your debut novel in your hands for the first time?
Crazy. It still feels crazy.
It's such
Yeah,
a
it's
special
it's
moment.
really wow. Yeah. Yeah, 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 it was.
And has anything surprised you about the experience of being a debut author?
Um, the whole process has been surprising, I guess, in that I just didn't really think that this would happen. So I still constantly feel like I'm pinching myself on the journey. Um, I think one thing in general that I would say about what what I'm experiencing from the writing scene, is there's so much kindness and amongst sort of other writers and book lovers and bookstagrammers. It just is quite touching how interested people are and how generous with their encouragement and enthusiasm and willingness to share things. And I think that that's really actually quite unusual for especially a lot of creative scenes that can have a lot of kind of competitiveness inherently involved, because they are really competitive. But I think what I've um, noticed is that there's just so many sweet people who write and read books, and I think connecting on that level is really lovely.
It's something that most authors that come onto the podcast say that how they just didn't realize that everyone would be so kind and friendly and
Mm.
welcoming, and that there isn't the same kind of um, feeling of competition. Everyone's just happy for everyone to succeed because every book is different. And so every readership is different. And so people just don't feel like they're in competition. Also, bookstagrammers are fabulous people.
Amazing. Yeah.
How long did it take you to write it?
Um,
I know it's a
it's
hard question.
a hard question because there's lots of different stages. I think the first draft took about 6 months, and then I'd finished that by early sort of 2023. And then I think I kind of had took time off and came back to it with re-edits and got some friends to look at it and re-edit it again over that sort of most of that next 12 months, and then was ready to submit it thereafter. So I guess sort of a year and a half type thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite quick. I know people who took 10 years to write their first book.
Which is
I would give
equally
yourself
valid.
a little pat on the back for that. Now, do you find yourself more drawn to writing character, or does setting and plot come first?
Um, I think aspects of both. Um, with this story, the character was definitely very, very much there at the start for me. And I don't really know where from or why, but Sunny's character was quite vivid um, from the beginning. And then the very first scene that came with that was the opening scene, which is chapter one, which was set at Sunny's school reunion. And I think there was something in that combination of ideas that really captured me first up, and that's where the story grew from. Um, I find it really interesting thinking about school reunions in that they're sort of like this time capsule of interest in other people and what's become of other people, but I think also interest in how it feels to be you now around those people. And I think it's a very kind of it's a way of almost reflecting on how who we've become and how we feel about who we've become. And for Sunny, that was raises a lot of questions and sort of is the beginning of her journey.
Yeah, a school reunion is an interesting way to start it, but it's very effective because you're kind of like plunged into what her world is truly like from the very beginning. That's a great start.
Mhm.
Now, your
It
book
was
has been your book's been so well received. The reviews I've read have called it funny and tender and bittersweet. And I think that, and how funny it is. Are you a naturally funny person?
I don't think I'm that funny.
See, I don't think
Um
I'm funny either, and it fascinates me when people write really, snippy, funny, offside types of books, and everybody has said the same thing about yours, about how quick and clever it is, and it's very like in, Emily Henry, Marion Keyes, which are huge authors and huge compliments. How does that make you feel?
oh, it's amazing. Yeah, totally, totally humbling. Yeah.
How do you want readers to feel after they finish reading your book?
I think most importantly, I want readers to have a sense of joy when they finish my book. That's the genre, I guess, in which I write, but it's very much also what I read. And I love getting to a book and feeling a sense of satisfaction and happiness from that. And I think that's not to say that I don't want to go to deeper levels in it and that there's not going to be experiences or aspects of the story that are hard. Um, but at the end of it, I guess I just want people to feel inspired by life and left with a sense of joy.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I think that that's what a lot of readers of romance want. They want that happy ending. They want to have a joy, but they want to have that experience along the way where they feel with the character. So that's, yeah, it's important that they
Mm.
feel joy in the end, isn't it? Because that's part and parcel of the genre.
I think so, yeah. And I think it's so, so valid as well. And I think, maybe less so now, but I think certainly there's in times gone by, I think the genre has perhaps been diminished a little bit for its value and its place amongst literature. And I just don't agree with that whatsoever. I just think, you know, I think life is hard and sometimes it's ugly but sometimes it's really beautiful too. And I think that we now in this state of the world, I think we need to focus on that more than ever. And I think what we focus on grows. And so I have a huge amount of passion in writing about the moments that are beautiful and letting those be felt in the readers.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Yes, no, I'm glad, I love that you want to bring joy to people. That's a really wonderful, and I mean, look, doctors bring joy to people in many different ways as well, but to be able to do it through your writing is just such an incredible gift to have. Was there any scenes, I'm thinking on what you've just been saying, that were difficult to write then? Because if what you're trying to do is create joy, or scenes that were particularly satisfying. You said before about the bees dancing. Were there any others that stood out for you?
Um, I think there's certainly some of the scenes at the end, and it's difficult to kind of talk too much about it without spoiling things. But I guess Sunny does find meaning in an occupational sense, and she ends up um, being involved with some students, and I think the scene at the end where that kind of comes to fruition was really satisfying to write. Um, I guess obviously I love writing romance and I love the scenes and the tension and um, you know, the sparks developing and all of that between Sunny and her love interest. So that's always, that's the fun. I really love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you plot everything out or do you discover the story as you go?
I discover it. Um, yeah, I sort of have overall a bit of a kind of arc in my brain of where it's headed, um, and mainly around who those kind of key characters are going to be, and a sense of a resolution and how that's going to come about. But the complexities of the story and the nuances definitely unfolds along the way for me. Hmm.
So was there anything that you wrote that surprised you? Like you didn't realize that that was going to happen?
Um, God, it's hard to remember what's what. I mean, the answer would be yes, definitely. There were definitely things that happened that I didn't know because I didn't ever sit down enough to kind of flesh out all of the details. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure how to be more specific without giving too much away
Yes,
either.
that's fine. Do you think did you learn anything about yourself when you were writing it?
I learnt that I am a writer now, and that was regardless of whether or not it was ever going to get published. Um, but I realized that I found a huge amount of happiness and solace in writing. Um, and it's just become a total part of life now. There's not a week that goes past in between writing books even that I don't start another one. I think that's something that I now will just have as a companion in my life. And And I find that really, really nourishing when, I've got children around, and sometimes in those days that feel really, really mumsy, I love having that 10 minutes or so that I can squeeze in when I get up in the morning and no one is awake, or whatever other time of day that sort of just make me feel like I've got my little thing going. Or times when I'm not feeling so great. I also just totally relish that opportunity to disappear into another world and lose myself in the characters and the story. I love that. So I think that's probably the biggest discovery, I suppose.
That's a wonderful discovery because now you know that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice to give other writers who are hoping to publish their debut?
Well, I feel largely like a novice myself, so I'm not feeling like I can speak with a whole heap of authority, but I guess I can only reflect on my own experience. Um, I think to write something you like, because it's a really long process. So, you want to enjoy it and you want to enjoy the first draft and the edit again and the edit again. So definitely start by writing something that you really like. Um, and I definitely had that with this. Like, it's my genre that I love. And I felt it was like, right, it was like reading a book, but just being so much more immersed in it. Um, and what else? I guess I guess the other thing is, if you're wanting to get published, trying to just really have that confidence in yourself, to persevere, because I think it's just really hard. It's really competitive, and I think it can be a really, really long process. And sometimes it doesn't happen with the first book, which was the case with me. This was not the first book I wrote. This was the second book. And to be honest, by the time I got to this point of submitting the second one, I had very, very low expectations or hope that it would ever come to fruition. But I think that's the story for a lot of authors. It might be the fifth book, or so if you love it, keep doing it and just keep backing yourself.
That's great advice. Do you have any writing rituals or routines? How do you juggle everything?
Um, my only routine is that I'm quick to recognize an opportunity, and then I open my laptop and off I go. Unfortunately, if I were to have any longer rituals around it, my 10 minutes would be up. So, I have my I have my laptop with me most of the time, um, and often there are those little windows of opportunity, and the stories that might have been brewing over the last couple of days when I'm not next to my laptop have an opportunity to get down. So yeah, that's what I do.
So speaks the busy mother.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any books or writers that inspire you? And you can just share a book that you've been reading if you want.
Well, I've got a couple here with me. I'm on holiday with the kids at the moment, and my husband. And I've got a couple that I'm going to have on this trip. So this is Love in Theory, which is by 𝐀𝐩𝐫𝐤𝐵. This is her first book. She's an Australian author, and I've not read any of hers before, obviously. It's a beautiful rom-com, and it's a clever rom-com. She's a lawyer, and I love clever rom-coms. So that's really hitting the mark for me. And then next will be Beth O'Leary's Swept Away, which
Oh,
has just hit the bookshelf a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, totally love Beth O'Leary. Obviously, Marion Keyes, Emily Henry, yeah, a huge, huge influences. And I think those three authors in particular really hit that combination of swoony romance that is clever and makes you laugh. And I just think that's all the ingredients right there. Yeah.
oh, that's fabulous recommendations. Thank you. Now, are you allowed to tell us what you're working on next?
Well, I am really, really early days of a book at the moment. So there's not a whole heap to tell about that one other than it's a girl called Greta who um, is likes preserving fruit. So that's really, really early days, like chapter 10. So chapter 1, page 10, just fleshing out ideas. But more established than that is what will be my second book, which
Mhm.
is going to come out uh, in a in about 12 months' time, has been accepted by Echo, which is super exciting. And that one is a story about a young doctor in training. And she's very sensible and very pragmatic and very driven. And the story is about her learning to listen to her heart and be guided by her emotions a bit more.
Oh, now see, that sounds interesting. And was that very easy to write, seeing as you have a medical background?
I guess the setting and the medical aspects of it, yeah, I'm familiar with, so that was helpful. But ultimately, I think all of my stories are they're evolutions of a person and a character, and really most of what's going on is in their own internal world, and in the relationships around them. So yeah, I guess that, yes, there's the medical aspects of it, but ultimately she's just a girl.
I think that's one of the loveliest things about romance novels is the arc of the protagonist, because you've always got,
Mm.
and you're always either identifying with them or learning with them, and
Yeah.
so which always makes the conclusion so much more satisfying. But they both sound
Yeah.
wonderful,
Yeah.
especially the jam making. That's very Tasmanian as well. Like the jam making and the bees and the yes, you'll do one about somebody who does craft. Yeah,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
needlework. Yeah, definitely. Number 4, I'm telling you now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna believe it, but that's time on our interview.
Wonderful.
I'd like to thank our author, Anna Maynard, for chatting with me and for being Reading by Candlelight's April Romance Book Box author.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dancing with Bees is a romance with a beautiful story. See what I did there? Get it? I know. Oh, yeah. I told you I'm not funny. It's about love and connection and what is truly important in life. And it's set in beautiful Tasmania, where Molly's cottage also resides. And this is a book that's going to make you laugh and cry and feel all the feels. It has amazing reviews, and I know it's going to be a favorite for those in the Reading by Candlelight community. So thank you everyone for coming along tonight and watching us live. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to the podcast, I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you're thinking in the Reading by Candlelight Facebook group or on socials. And thank you again, Anna, for taking time out of your holiday to chat with me.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And wishing everyone happy reading and goodbye until the next Reading by Candlelight Book Club.